good, YouTube? What is good, everybody? So I was gonna do a 60-second video, but I felt like that video was not going to uh, get enough, get a lot. Um, so today's video is about the New York Giants in Hard Knocks. Now, yesterday, I believe, or the day before yesterday, I watched the full 40-minute clip of it because I didn't feel like downloading HBO Max just to watch it. And what I take away from it is really nothing. It just takes you on what y'all don't see behind the scenes. Y'all only watch the game. Like, y'all don't really actually know what goes on behind the scenes of Hard Knocks. Because way before I was a Giants fan, early 2000s, I used to watch Hard Knocks, and I believe the NBA had the same exact thing. I think it was called the Association. They had the Celtics, they had the Brooklyn Nets on there. I remember they having a few teams on there, but in terms of the NFL, yes, they had a lot of bad teams on there. They had, you know, they had the Cowboys when they had like Quincy Carter. They had the Jags. Not the Jags. I think they had the Texans. They had the Cowboys. They had the Ravens. They had the Dolphins. So yeah, I've watched enough of Hard Knocks to know what to expect. But for the ones who don't know what Hard Knocks is basically a reality TV show that takes you on behind the scenes what you don't see, after the game. When the game is over, the players go home. They get their paychecks, they go home. Boom. You know, but in terms of, the GM, the coaching staff, the head coach, not the head coach, the GM, the head coach, yeah, the GM, the head coach, the coaching staff, obviously the owners, they have to get back to work. They have to figure out how to get this team back on track, whether or not you do good or you do bad. If you do bad, then obviously it's back to the drawing board. But if you do good, then you still trying to get better. You try to get even more better than you already were. You try to build off of that. But yeah, so it's not really nothing I haven't really seen before. But obviously this is the first time the Giants have been on Hard Knocks. The Giants have been knocking on the door of Hard Knocks for a very long time. It's just that the NFL didn't want to pick them for some odd reason. Because I remember the Giants, 2014, you could say 2019, they were bad, 6-10, 7-9. They still was on Hard Knocks. Even when they won those two Super Bowls, they still wasn't on Hard Knocks. Now, obviously, they're not gonna put a team that won a Super Bowl on Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks are for dysfunctional, rebuilding, bad teams. It's either the Giants are dysfunctional, bad, or rebuilding. One of those three. They're not gonna put a team that won their division. They're not gonna put a team that won 10 straight. They focus on the bad teams. They focus on the teams that's not good. And the Giants are not effing good. Let's just keep it a buck. They're not good, So the whole thing with the Saquon Barkley fiasco is basically they didn't want to pay him. They had the NFL had this whole riot because they didn't want to pay the quarterback. No, they didn't want to pay the running back quarterback money. Because the NFL is all about the quarterback. It should just be a quarterback league then. Because that's the only person that's important. The wide receiver is not important, tight end is not important, fullback is not important, offensive line is not important. You sure damn need an offensive line. If If you don't have an offensive line, you don't have nothing. I don't care who you got back there. You can have Prime Vic back there. You can have the best four receivers in NFL history. You're gonna have the best running back, best tight end. But if you don't have an offensive line that can block, pass protect, if you don't got an offensive line that can't do either of those two, you're gonna be a sitting duck. You're gonna be a sitting duck. Michael Vick is gonna be sacked a career high 51 times. And he might probably get hurt. So I always view the offensive line as the foundation of the team. Y'all can view the quarterback as the captain, but I view the offensive line as that foundation. And if you can't build that foundation, guess what? You're not gonna last in this league. Go back and look at Patrick Mahomes, that Super Bowl. He missed one of his best offensive linemen was out for that game. And that derailed the whole entire team. By just having one person out, it derailed the whole entire team. Patrick Mahomes couldn't do what he can do because of that one player being out. So you see the magnitude of having a very good offensive line. You look at the Cowboys, you know, DeMarco Murray. A lot of people was laughing, right? A lot of people was making those not quarterback. A lot of people was making those cowboy memes, you know, like let's just make the great O line great again. You know what I'm saying? Because Trump was running for president at the time. You know, the Great Wall of the Cowboys, right? But you let any running back run through those big dudes, like DeMarco Murray was chasing history. He was tracing history. He was trying to break Dickerson's record. I remember that game. He ran all through and around us. We could not stop him for crap because that offensive line was great. The Cowboys know how to effing draft. I wish the Giants had what the Cowboys had. I don't know. Like, it's strange, you know, because the Cowboys, listen, my grandpa was a Cowboys fan, right? You know, I mean, they're not that bad as people set it out to be. They kind of low-key chill, you know, but when they get in their feelings, boy, they really get in their feelings. It's really nothing, you know, you can't say to a Cowboys fan. But they low-key chill people, you know? I mean, I've met the most... I met a few great Cowboy fans, you know, even though, you know, they irk my nerves, blowing up my phone and stuff. They really chill people, you know? But back to Saquon, yeah, but so that whole running back quarterback money, they wasn't having it. So, you know, Saquon Barkley balled the year before. He got hurt, came back, and they still franchise tagged him. Now, again, the quarterback league is very strong. If you don't have a quarterback, I don't care if you have 1,000. I don't care if your running back rushes over 1,000 yards 6 times a year. If you don't have that right quarterback, your team is not going to go far. You know, like you look at the Tennessee Titans when they had Chris Johnson and Vince Young. You know, they had the quarterback, then they had their running back, and they actually did go far. They didn't go far, but they went far. You look at Adrian Peterson, you know, look how many quarterbacks he went through. You know what I'm saying? So they just didn't want to pay him. Him coming off an injury and stuff like that. Like, I think that crap was past him. I mean, I think if you just keep bringing up the injury history, like, you know, you can't really not nitpick on the injury, you know. I mean, a lot of Giants fans can sit here and say, well, Saquon Barkley was never injured, this and that. Like, he was pretty good his rookie year. You know, he didn't even fumble once. You know what I'm saying? I think he only fumbled like 3 times in his career. But yeah, you know, it's kind of like one of those, you know, damn if you do, damn if you don't situations, you know. But the Giants didn't want to pay him, so they paid Daniel Jones because he had a okay year that year. The year that they went to the playoffs and faced the Vikings, and then after that they got hunk smash against the damn Eagles. But the Giants still paid him, because he produced. He produced. Not saying that Saquon Barkley didn't produce, but because they were over the luxury tax, they couldn't really, hold on to both of them. It was either let go of Daniel Jones or keep Saquon Barkley, draft a quarterback, and hope that quarterback turns out to be something great, which they should have done, in my opinion. Now, time will tell if the Giants was right, if the Giants was wrong. Now, again, and it's a big if, and I don't like using ifs, but if JJ McCarthy beats out Sam Darnold, he might probably be their starting quarterback week 1. If I was the Vikings, I would put JJ McCarthy in that fire. Why? Because you traded up to get him. I think they did. No, I don't think they traded up to get him. I think the pick after that, yeah. So they didn't really. I think they traded. I don't know if they traded up to get him. Let me know in the comment section down below if the Vikings traded up to get JJ McCarthy. Because we tried that with Daniel Jones. Remember that, 6th pick drafted Daniel Jones. A lot of people was just that was a huge surprise because Eli Manning was in the decline year of his career. We already knew that we needed a quarterback. So, that was all Dave Gettleman. That had nothing to do with Joe Shane or Brian Dable. That was all Gettleman, Dave Gettleman. So, it is what it is. And then, they looked at different quarterbacks, not really quarterbacks, but they looked at different running backs, Zeke, Mixon, Jacobs, but not one of them possessed the quality of Saquon Barkley. Yeah, they are great running backs, but Saquon Barkley was one of the best running backs to them at the time. Now, people are wondering, how do you fix this New York Giants team? How does the New York Giants bounce back from last year? Because last year was a disaster. Now, this year, we don't face the Cowboys week 1. We face the team that obviously got J.J. McCarthy. And we also facing the team that we beat in the playoffs. So, that might probably come back and haunt us. Who knows? They're probably still lingering. They're probably still lingering over that defeat. Now, again, not a lot of people was on the players that was the players that was on the players that was on that Vikings team last year may not even be on this team this year. Like, Kirk Cousins is not even on that team anymore. Cook not even on that team anymore. So they're brand spanking new. They're fresh new. You're gonna be seeing fresh new faces. You might probably be seeing the same face. Different head coach, different DM. You know what I'm saying? The whole 9 yards. But you still have to deal with Jefferson. Thielen is not there no more. He went to the Panthers. So, week 1 is going to be very interesting. And we're playing at home, which, again, the Giants playing at home is like suicide watch. They never play well at home for some odd reason. But anyways, but yeah, Hard Knocks was not really bad. Well, episode 1 is not really bad. I'm very in tune what will happen episode 2. But this team is far from being contender. So yeah. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, because it would be real. It would have been real funny if they did this with Odell. Like if they would have done this with Odell, because when Odell won Rookie of the Year, Player of the Year, where was the Giants? At home, with a 7-9 record, right? Now a lot of people say, well, there was different ways they could skin a cat. You know, there was different ways they could go. They didn't really have to go wide receiver. You know, they could have continued to build that offensive line. But again, eye candy, draw-dropping talent, can't really pass that, right? Giants always suckers for that, and then they fell for it. Now, obviously, it's not Odell Beckham Jr.'s fault. You know, obviously, later on in his career, he obviously admitted it in that Lil Wayne interview with Jostina. You know, he wanted to play with a younger quarterback, no disrespect to Eli Manning, but you got a 37, 36-year-old quarterback throwing him the ball. You know, like he's not going to get his touches like he should, you know? So, you know, I mean, it's not the first time people attacked Eli. You know, Tiki attacked Eli. You know, it is what it is, you know? And then actually when he did get a young quarterback in Baker Mayfield, it still didn't work. So what the F Odell Beckham Jr. is talking about? He talked about, oh, I don't like old quarterbacks. Okay, we'll send you to Cleveland. Play with a 25-year-old Baker Mayfield. And you still was pouting. Because they had Landry and they had other role players. You know, like you wasn't the main focus, Odell. That was Odell's issue. Like he always prioritized. He was always the main target. He wasn't. You know, you had Ruben Randall, you had Victor Cruz, you had Sterling Shepard, you had yourself. You had other guys that Eli Manning wanted to throw the ball to. And he was this close of breaking Toomer's record. He was this close. I forgot, I think it was against the Browns or the Chargers. They would just keep force feeding him the ball and he got hurt. And he was done for the year. So if you go back and look at the Giants record books, you see Toomer, you see Odell. I think Odell had like 44 touchdowns and Toomer has like, what, 55, 54? So all he needed was, what, 10 more touchdowns to pass him or tie with him. So, yeah. I mean, it would have been very funny if the Giants was on Hard Knocks in 2014. And with the Malik Neighbors pick, because I want to be real unbiased, you know. I didn't like the pick. If you go back and look at my shorts, I didn't like the pick. I wanted a quarterback. I was done with Daniel Jones. I gave Daniel Jones a pass his rookie year because I always give players their pass, their rookie year, whether they stink, whether they blossom. I always give a pass their rookie year, you know. Second, third, fourth, fifth, I expect you to blossom. I expect you to take the baton and run with it. Daniel Jones is in year, what, 6? Like, what are we doing? Like, Dave Gettleman set this team up to fail. Dave Gettleman set this team up to fail. As soon as he got the job, I already know this team was going to fail. I knew this team was going to fail. As soon as they picked him up to be the GM, I knew this team was going to fail. Now, I did say last year the Giants was going to have a piss poor record and Daniel Jones was going to play well. Now, unfortunately, Daniel Jones got hurt, so we couldn't really see what he could have done. He tried to come back. He did come back. He got hurt again, so it is what it is. Now we're banking on him to play 18 games. So that means that offensive line has to keep him upright all 18 games. Now they did go out and invest, which I highly disagree because you do not invest in the offensive line in free agency. Now, again, we did get some good value over the years in free agency. Sean O'Hara came over from the Browns. David Bass came over from the 49ers, center, guard. Actually both guards, but I think Bass could play the center and the guard. We didn't particularly draft well, you know. Eric Flowers, Justin Pugh, you know, Jim Shorts. It just didn't work out. You know, every time you try to groom and draft and upgrade the offensive line position, it just backfired. You know, it just backfired. So, like, who's to blame? Was it Jerry? Was it Jerry Reese? Was it Dave Gettleman? Who's to blame? I mean, at least Jerry Reese went out and spent money. You know, 2016 had the best defense, even though our offense was trash. Eli Manning had the best statistical year under Ben McAdoo. Pat Shermer wasn't really that bad. Brian Dable won his one playoff game. Now he's on the hot seat. So this year is going to be very wild. This team is going to be very wild. Now, I will say this before I get out of here. I will say but outside of Odell Beckham Jr., Malik Neighbors so far is healthy. I hope to God that he doesn't have an injury bug. I promise you. Because if Malik Neighbors can start all 18 weeks, imagine his stats. He would have had more touchdowns, more receiving yards, and more yards than Odell Beckham Jr. his rookie year. Now, he may not have the catch that Odell Beckham Jr. had, but he might probably win Rookie of the Year if we keeping it a buck. Because Marvin Harrison doesn't flash through your screen, you know? A Doomsday doesn't flash through your screen. Who does flash through your screen? It's Malik Neighbors.